Hello there. Welcome to this first class of the Business Startup Mentoring and Coaching Series. I want to welcome you all to this class. My name is Kelvin, as some of you already know, and I'll be your tutor as well as your coach throughout this program. Well, I want to start off by welcoming you on board to this coaching program. I want to commend you for the journey so far. The fact that you're watching this video means that you want to learn something and you have a bright future ahead of you. Because people who want to learn always take a humble position in life, which is what we'll be treating anyways. But I want to commend you for the journey so far. For people that qualified into our mentee program, this is the first step towards a glorious future that you have ahead of you. Alright, first and foremost, as you already know, this is the first course in the 100 level course series titled Humility in Business. And I want to remind us that coaching is about hands-on practical experience, hands-on practical approach to whatever it is we have decided to do. And part of what we have decided to do as business startup is to start something. So this will be touching areas where we should actually use to make the most out of what we want to venture into in the nearest future. I believe each and every one of us on this platform has one goal or the other which they intend to achieve towards meeting their business goals. And this course will actually touch on the qualities that you need to use to attain those goals. Alright, humility in business. What is humility? What is humility? Because if you don't know what humility is, it will be quite difficult for you to actually grab what it is that we're talking about. So let's talk about humility for a bit. Humility is actually a quality. It's actually having a modest or a low, not an inferior, because the way the English dictionary puts it is that you have a modest view or you have a low view of your importance. That presupposes, or that means that for you to have a low view of one's importance, that means you already have an idea that you're important. But humility really, when you come to look at it, is actually considering others first. It's actually not putting yourself first, it's actually putting others first. And that is actually one quality that we need in business. But if we are to x-ray the quality, if we are to dive deeper into the quality of being humble, we will understand that there are certain characteristics that come with it. And those characteristics are actually what show people that you are humble. Let's take a little bit, let's take a step further to actually see those characteristics that can make somebody say that he or she is a humble person. Alright, one of the characteristics that somebody can show that you can know that this person is a humble person is, for example, when the person lets you ahead of him when you people are in the line. You go to the bank or the ATM machine and you see people standing. And all of a sudden, maybe you want to go ahead of someone and collect your money, and you see maybe a fellow, a lady, urging you to go ahead, continue, and is not willing or is not ready to start, exchanging words or start, struggling for who is going to go and take or withdraw their money first. That is one quality of a humble person. Another quality of a humble person is, for example, you could decide that in your own company, you could offer yourself, oh, let me do something for this company, maybe clean the bathroom. I mean, people, it's not something that everybody does, but it takes a lot of humility. Someone who has maybe two degrees or 3 degrees offering to clean the bathroom of their office. I mean, that's one quality. And another quality also is giving credit to who credit is due. Maybe you are the most valuable player, you have been awarded the most valuable player in a team, and you decide to give the credit to the team instead of, giving that credit to your skills alone. So these are some examples of characteristics of a humble person. And we are going to understand how to apply that in business and why it is important. Let's find out why humility is important. Humility is in fact one of the most powerful and important attributes of growth. So that means if you want to grow in life, you take a humble position. It's been said that the illiterate of the future is that man or woman who refuses to learn, relearn, and unlearn. That means there are some things that you have learned that you need to unlearn. And it takes some humility to accept that there are some things that you've grown up with, there are some things you've been taught in schools, there are some things that you have been following ever since you gained understanding about the way things work in life, that needs, at some time in your life, you need to drop because those things might not be helping you. Then you need to learn. That means you need to take the position of a student. The position of a student is that of learning. That means you need to be able to pause and say, let me take some information from somebody. And that information I'm taking from somebody, like you're taking some information from me now, is the information that you can use to move up in life. Like myself, I've been into different mentoring. I've been into mentoring, some academic mentoring before. I'm also currently in another mentoring. And I've listened to different people who I see as distant mentors and role models. Constantly learning from them and knowing, understanding the way they have approached life. So, it is one of the most, humility is a quality that you use to grow. And that growth means you have to take a position of learning. Both in and out of, the marketplace, you use humility. And it helps people build trust. You can build trust by just being humble. When people see that there's a touch of humility within you, it's easier for them to trust you. And that also helps your learning process. In fact, it's been said that it is a key aspect of leadership and personal development because you can't really grow beyond the level of how humble you are willing to learn. So we need to understand that these things are qualities that you also put to use when you are in the business realm. And when you're operating in the business realm, these qualities are qualities that people are quick to see, are quick to catch. And as you use them, they will begin to open the doors and opportunities that you least expect that will open because you have taken that posture. Now, I want to share some personal experiences, about 2 or 3 of them randomly, to show you how it works in the business place. For example, there was a time I had a client, and the client I was with the client, and the client, I kind of was waiting for the client for a while. And I kept on getting encouraged by his assistants that I should wait, that he will answer me. Eventually, what happened was that the client came, saw me, and because I was patient enough, that client was able to listen to me, even though it was past the work hours, listened to me, heard me out, and even though I did not really answer all these questions properly, he gave me the project and he told them to pay me the next day. Now, if I was arrogant enough to walk out, or if I was not patient enough to listen to him when he got back, though I was feeling distrust, I was feeling a little bit upset, I swallowed that pill and listened to him and expressed how I felt very softly. And he had some explanations to say as regards why he kept me waiting. At the end of the day, it was a good experience and we both left the table with something. Another experience was, when I got a project to deploy a solution for one of the biggest retail store in Nigeria. I never met with the owners of the company. I never crossed eyes in the beginning, actually. I never met with the owners of the company. And I wondered why. I found out that it was because they were very, very discreet people. They were very humble people. They didn't like to be seen by people. They didn't like to show off. They only managed from behind. They directed affairs from behind. They were very tough, but they were very, very humble. No wonder they became one of the biggest retail stores, indigenous retail stores in Nigeria. In fact, when I met with one of them, he came into the office. He is the MD of the office, but his general manager sat down talking with me. He walked into the office. I was introduced to him. He didn't even take a chair, or he didn't decide to sit down. He stood up. The manager brought some document. The manager was sitting down. He stood up. He signed that document in the manager's office and left discreetly. He doesn't want to be seen. That doesn't make him important if he starts going out and making people see him. That's another example of humility, and that's the way they operate. Another example is, somebody that I always, in my own industry, Bill Gates. Bill Gates is someone that if he comes into, if you don't know him, if you have never heard about him, you think he's just one white elderly man. But Bill Gates actually is someone who, has a lot of humility, and he shows in whatever he does. And so, if we as people who want to go very far in business, we must try as much as possible to cultivate that attitude. Another such person is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is one humble person. People had a lot of nice things to say about him because of how humble he was. And no wonder he became very celebrated even after his death. Because he learned something about humility. And he always said that he wants to be, in fact, in one of his interviews, he said he wants to be like Jesus. That why they asked him, why is it that you're so concerned about kids? You like to help people. He said he wants to be like Jesus. But it's not saying that he is Jesus, but he's saying that he wants to live by that principle, and that's why he helps. And so, in my personal interaction and in my study of great people, accomplished people, I have found that they've used humility. Alright, now let's go to practical application of humility. One of the ways you can apply humility in your own business as a startup is the way you retain relationships. When you start out with a client, don't be quick to let go of that client after a sale. You have to be able to know how to retain relationships. And retaining relationship means that you need to cultivate a habit of checking on them. You need to cultivate a habit of talking with them. You need to cultivate a habit of getting to know getting to feel their pulse. Getting outside just business relationship, asking them about their kids, asking them about their staff, asking them other things that do not pertain to why you have actually come to collect money from them. And with that, you are actually applying, the business, you are applying humility in getting to know them, and then you open your hearts to them, and they open themselves to you. And that way you can retain relationships because you are humble enough to ask them things outside of why you keep collecting money from them. Another aspect of application is that you make difficult decisions with ease. A humble person, for example, I give this story about Abraham because Abraham epitomizes or portrays the absolute humble man. He got into a scuffle with his nephew, Lot, and himself. Actually, it was their servants that got into that scuffle. And he came and he approached his nephew and told his nephew, look, we should not be having this kind of fight. Choose the land you want to possess. If you choose the one on the right, I'll go to the left. If you choose the one on the left, I'll go to the right. We don't need to struggle at all about anything. And Lot saw the one that was looking very beautiful and very nice, and he said he's going to choose that one. And Abraham allowed it. And we all know the story. That land that Lot chose ended up being Sodom and Gomorrah. And we see in the Bible what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. In fact, it was still the same Abraham that helped Lot get out of that trouble. So humility doesn't make you lose anything. It actually makes you make difficult decisions easy. It was very easy for Abraham to make that decision because he didn't see himself as losing anything. He didn't see himself as losing any respect by allowing his nephew to choose. He saw it as a means of letting that episode of his life go with ease. And this is a man that had over 300 staff. You believe, or you agree with me, if someone has 300 staff, that person is indeed worth giving some attention. And then other ways is, applications that you put other people first. I've said that before. You have to listen. Cultivating a habit of listening is one way. When we did a program, a course on operations management, and one of the things that you use to actually pull in your clients is when you do what is called sensing the problem. If you are someone that's called to handle a contract or a solution, the first thing you do is you don't go in there and start talking about, start saying everything that you know. You want to know what other people know first, and that takes humility. You need to try to listen to what other people are saying, what your client is saying. Sense the problem first before you speak. Don't speak before sensing the problem. When you take all that in, it is easier for you to present the solution in a most articulate form. Alright? So listen is an application of humility. Be curious. Be curious to know why things have not been working. Be curious to know how you can serve them better. Be curious to know who you give a discount. Be curious to know who you will offer free delivery. Be curious to know the client that you will say buy one, get one free. Be curious. Know the things that you can do to win them over. And it takes humility to do that. And be expressive. Don't lock yourself in. Alright? That's another application. Be expressive. Say as much as possible what's on your mind politely and courteously. It takes humility to do that. And finally, always say thank you. Always show gratitude. Even if they are the ones paying you the money. Even if you offer the solution. Be humble. Try to say thank you. Try to say, show gratitude. And when people see that in you, they are endeared. It's called an endearment. It makes them drawn to you. And so, as a summary, humility in business makes you attractive. It makes people want to invest in you. It makes people want to do business with you. It makes people want to hear you out. I can say for a fact that some opportunities came my way because I was humble enough to show that I wasn't big enough, or I wasn't too big for those opportunities. And those opportunities came because I was willing to take that step of humility. So I would like us to apply this attribute, this quality of humility in what we are doing, and use it as a guide to getting to know people, to retaining relationship, to making decisions, to putting others first in offering solutions, to listening to people, be curious enough to gather information, express yourself with courtesy, and always say thank you. And in your next course, we'll be discussing the other aspects that you will use to grow in your business. Thank you for listening. See you in the next course. Bye for now.